Hey everybody, Dan from Jump Bag EMT here, and today we're going to go over the top 5 things you can do to be successful in EMT school. And so don't forget to like and subscribe for more content coming up. Now, our top 5 things to be ready and successful for EMT school. Number 5, we're talking medical and trauma assessment. For the rest of your career, every time you come across somebody, you're going to be doing an assessment. Wouldn't it be nice to know that right in the beginning of school? A lot of times we overlook this. And in fact, while you're going through school, almost 1/3 of every chapter is talking about your medical or trauma assessment for whatever the chief complaint is. If you already know your medical and trauma assessment in order off of those National Registry skill sheets, you'll already know 1/3 of the chapter. All you'll have to do is apply the new information into the assessment and you'll be moving forward. It's amazing how much simpler the chapters get when you know where it's going. You know where to put these things in the outline as you're learning the new chief complaints and the injuries and illnesses. So number 5, your medical and trauma assessment. Learn it early. And a great way to do this is with number 4. And this is going to be your note cards. People don't like note cards, but they work. They're time tested and true. And one of the things that people get frustrated with note cards on is they feel it's just too overwhelming or you got to make so many of them. Just make the ones that matter to you. If something is difficult, if something is 100% going to be on the exam or 100% going to be on National Registry, or you just want to remember it, make a note card out of it. Your medical and trauma assessment is perfect for note cards. You can just put one thing at a time and what comes next and what comes next, and you'll learn those things quick. The other thing I like about note cards is if you put a hole in the corner, you can put one of those rings on it, and now you can carry it around. You don't need electricity. You don't need a charged iPhone. You don't need any of that stuff. You just got a note card. You can just sit and flip through them quietly. The other thing that I recommend for note cards is make them unique. Have you ever played memory with your cousin, your niece, your nephew, your child, and one of the cards is bent in the corner or it's folded in half and you just know it's the draft? You don't have to turn it over because you know it's a draft. When you get that other draft, you're like, bam, I know where I'm going because it's weird. It's unique, right? So this is what we'll do with our note cards. Put a smiley face on it. Make an acronym, write it sideways, use a different colored marker for those things that you find difficult. And you're going to find that you remember the back of the card better because it's unique and different than the rest. Some might say, hey, this is cheating. I say they're your note cards. Why make it look like somebody else's? They're your note cards. You take the time to write it down. You take the time to make it weird. You're going to retain that information. And now later on in your semester, you can always go right back to those note cards. And you don't have to make them for everything. Make them for the things that you find important and in your own words. Now, number 3. This is a good one, ladies and gents. This is a good one. As we go through EMT school and as we're getting ready for the living room, to do good in somebody's living room, to help them out on this medical call, we want to know what's going on with them, right? And so we really got to learn the chief complaints. Let's say it's some sort of respiratory disorder. Okay, well, what's the difference between COPD and CHF and asthma and pneumonia? We just know it's a breathing problem, right? Well, respiratory illnesses are going to look like respiratory illnesses. So we want to find that chief complaint and then add in the symptoms. If it's a respiratory, these are the symptoms that are consistent with respiratory emergencies. Next, find something unique. Maybe there is a unique factor like for emphysema, right? Barrel chest. When you got that enlarged posterior anterior diameter of the chest. This is unique to emphysema. So if you know that, once you see that key word, bam, you know this respiratory illness is emphysema. Next, once after you establish the unique ID and what is consistent with that type of illness, then you go into a treatment and you just write it down like an outline. I'm going to do A, B, and C. And you throw that on a note card or you throw that on an outline, whatever it may be. So now, as you're studying, you're going to find, hey, respiratory emergencies. Respiratory emergencies look like respiratory emergencies. But what's different about this one? You'll see those key words on your exams. You'll see those key words in your National Registry, and you'll start seeing those key symptoms when you're on scene. And it's going to lead you to that differential diagnosis and that treatment plan that you already wrote down on your card. It really, really simplifies things. It puts you in order. So that's number 3. We're looking at chief complaint to symptoms to find the unique identifier, that unique symptom for that particular illness, and then your treatment plan. You'll be amazed at what good it does. Now, number 2, this is a good one too. You want to stay on time. And I don't just mean showing up for class on time or finishing the exams or the quizzes in your allotted time. What I mean is do not fall behind. A major mistake that students make is, oh, I can do it later. I'll study before the exam. If you study right before the exam and you haven't been doing it throughout the week, you're just going to vomit up some information that you're going to very quickly forget. But that information is going to come up. It's going to come up again. You're going to see it again. So why vomit it up instead of learning it? So you want to stay on time. You do not want to fall behind. Because the stuff stacks, it's really difficult to play catch up. Now, the other side of that coin, don't get ahead. A lot of students want to read the chapter ahead, or they want to take those practice exams early, or they want to take the quizzes early so they got less to do. When you're getting ahead, you're going to be missing the things that are behind, right? You're going to be missing the things that are timely and for this exam. The best way to stay on time is to utilize those note cards, to be focusing in on your chapter. You already know your assessment, and then be adding your new note cards for this chapter. And then add some more note cards onto your ring. So now you've got your ring and you're not falling behind because everything is staying with you. From chapter 1 to chapter 30, you've got a few note cards from all of them. So you're retaining all the information. You're not falling behind because you're staying in that chapter. You're not getting ahead because you're staying in that chapter, and you're retaining all the most important information. Where's that giraffe? I know what that note card looks like. This is a great way to stay on time and on task. Don't get behind and don't get ahead. Stay current and bring that information that you've already learned along with you. Now, we're back to number 1. And before I say it, don't forget to like and subscribe. These things are gems, and I'm going to be throwing more at you coming up in more study sessions. So don't miss when these new things come out. So like and subscribe. So now, your number 1 thing you can do for EMT school to be ready and successful is going to be studying for your career and not the test. You've got to get through school so you can get to registry. You got to get through registry so you can get to the career. But remember, that is the ultimate goal. The National Registry is not trying to test what you don't know. They're trying to test, hey, what do you know? Right? So if we're studying for the career, knowing we want to be living room ready, we want to show up to somebody's worst day and be ready, know what's going on, know what we can do, well, let's study for that. Let's not get short-sighted and just study for the test. What this looks like is bringing that information along with you, like we were talking about in our note cards, not getting behind and not getting ahead, but really seeking to learn the information, what's important, and how to apply it for that chapter, not just the test. You're not studying for a test. You're studying for somebody's living room. So you want to remember this information differently. This isn't just another college class. At some point, you're going to be showing up to somebody's worst day. And maybe you haven't ran a lot of these, but at some point, you're going to see the things you've been studying. So do you know that unique identifier? Do you know your treatments that we were talking about earlier in our note cards and putting these things in order? It's going to make a huge difference. So be in the moment. Okay, you are in school, but you're studying for a career. If you turn that switch, if you take that lens and you shift that perspective, thinking I need to retain this information and just not get through the exam, you'll find your study habits are different. Well, there they are. So let's recap 5 to 1. Number 5, medical and trauma assessment. Study those assessment sheets. Put them in order. Number 4, utilize note cards. Make them weird. Put them in your words. Put them on a ring and carry them with you throughout the program. Number 3, learn the chief complaint with the symptoms that are consistent with that type of emergency. Next, find what's different and then treat it. Know what you're going to do. Put them in order. Number 2, stay on time. Don't get behind. Don't cram. Don't get ahead, get in those other chapters, but stay right on time and bring that information from those note cards along with you so it's building to your next chapter in the end. And then number 1, your number 1 thing to do is study for the career, not the test. If you're ready for the career, if you're ready for the living room, you're going to be ready for this exam, right? You don't have to get 100% on the exam. You're just trying to get through school. So study for the career, not the test. You're going to be surprised at what a difference it makes. So thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, hit those buttons, make a comment below if you want to see something different. And thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.